Welcome to DWBI Adda channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the playlist on computer vision. In the last few video lectures, we saw about some of the core concepts of OpenCV like opening an image, drawing basic shapes over an image, then drawing polygons over an image. We also saw about how to blur an image, and we saw the concept of masking as well. So these were some of the pretty interesting concepts that we actually saw in OpenCV. In this lecture today, we'll be discussing about thresholding in OpenCV. So, as the name suggests, like thresholding is an image segmentation technique, right? This segmentation technique is actually used to separate an object, like separate an foreground object from its background. Like what happens is from the name it's very clear, something thresholding type of thing is being applied. So thresholding, if I were to explain you in relatively simpler terms, is nothing but a cutoff value. So what happens, suppose you have been given an image, and for applying thresholding, by the way, you need to convert that image into the grayscale image, and now someone tells you apply thresholding on it. So since it's a grayscale image, it's always in the form of like black and white, like you understand, like it has only two pixel values in grayscale images, right? So when you have been told to apply the thresholding, so now every image is actually made up of pixels, right? Every image is actually made up of pixels. So when you are applying thresholding, what happens is that suppose you have you have a cutoff value. So based upon the different thresholding techniques we have, the numbers above the cutoff value are transformed into a different pixel value, and the number below the cutoff value are transferred into a different pixel values. So this obviously depends upon the type of thresholding technique we are actually using. So we have generally five different kinds of thresholding techniques. These are the binary thresholding, binary inverse thresholding, truncated thresholding, two zero thresholding, and two inverse thresholding. Now there are mathematical concepts about how they are being derived and how they are different from each other and what actually happens in all of these. I will quickly give you an idea about what and how like it actually works, and how binary thresholding is maybe different from just four of them. So let's talk about binary thresholding first. So binary thresholding is one of the basic thresholding techniques. It says that you suppose you have set the threshold. So if the pixel intensity is greater than the cutoff value, so the pixel value would be set to 255. Otherwise it would be set to 0, right? So suppose you have set a pixel value as, or maybe a threshold value as 120. So all of the values above 120 will be converted to 255, whereas all the values below 120 will actually be converted to 0. So 0 is actually black, and 255 like 255, if you completely see, should be white one. If in BGR format everything is actually 255, but you understand my point, right? Then there is binary threshold inverse. So I hope from the name it's very clear that it's actually the opposite. The values above the cutoff values are actually transformed to 0, and the values below them are actually converted to the 255 value. Now there is this function known as truncated threshold value. So what happens in truncated threshold value is that you have set a, let's say, threshold value or a cutoff value of 120. So all of the pixels intensity above, let's say, the threshold value will be the threshold value. Even if it's 140, the threshold value will become 120 if you have set the threshold value. Otherwise, if it's lower, it will actually remain in its original form. Let's suppose there is a pixel with the intensity of 60. So in truncated threshold technique, the 60 would actually remain 60 because we have actually used the truncated threshold value. And if there is a 150, so 150 will actually become 120 because it's above the truncated values or above the threshold values. The pixels actually remains the threshold value itself. Then there is this 2 0 thresholding, in which, suppose you have been given an image again and there are pixel intensities. So if the pixel intensity. Let's suppose you have you have a pixel intensity of 140 and you have set the threshold value to be 120. So like what will happen is that 140 will actually remain 140, right? But below 120, anything below 120 will actually get transferred or converted into 0 pixel intensity, that is complete black. And I hope now you understand what is 2 0 inverse. It's just the inverse of the above thing. So I know like it sounds a bit complicated, and like because there is a lot of mathematics involved and a lot of actually functions involved as well. Don't worry, we will having a look of this via practical example. These are some of the again core concepts which you need to know so that you could create our base for some real life hands-on coding exercise. But nevertheless, like let's get started based on this theory part. So I will quickly go ahead and fire up my Jupyter notebook. So I will import the required libraries, which are import cv2 and import numpy, right? So after importing, what I will do is I will read my image. So I will show that image in my variable known as cv2.imread, and I will pass trial.jpg over here, right? So once this is done, the trial.jpg I have passed that. So I now have an image. So what I am required to do while thresholding is that I am required to convert it into black and white image or a grayscale image. So I hope you now remember how to convert an image to a grayscale image. We have to use a cvt color function, convert color function. So something like this, and then I would pass in the arguments img and cv2 dot color underscore bgr to gray, bgr to gray, something like this. And I will run this. So our image has now gotten converted into a black and white or a grayscale image. So now I told you ki this is one of the basic thing that we have to do, like we have to convert the colored image into a grayscale image. Now we can actually apply the thresholding techniques over here. So let's say like I want to apply first the binary threshold and the binary threshold inverse, because otherwise the video will actually get too long. Nevertheless, what I will do is I will call up cv2.threshold and I will show you the prototype of the function. So something like this, and it tells you ki I have to give an source image, I have to give a thresholding values, like the threshold value, the cutoff value, then the maximum value, and then this is the type and est, the destination does not matter to us, but these three are the real values. It is the source image, the thresholding value, and the max value. So thresholding is actually the cutoff value over here. So what I will do is I will go ahead and call up this function now, cv2.threshold. And cv2.threshold, what I will do is I will pass in the image, which is the img. Then I will set up the cutoff value, let's say to 150. Then I have the maximum value as 255. Every time the maximum value would be 255. And then I would have to specify the thresholding technique as well. So thresholding technique, like I told Ruki, I would be using binary thresholding over here. So in binary thresholding, what we are required, like we have to pass in the command for binary thresholding. So for this, you have a function known as cv2 dot thresh binary, and uh, now like this returns us actually two arguments or two parameters. The first is your like the threshold thing, and there is like you can actually understand like this returns you two variables, like first variable which is known as let's say ret, and the second value which is actually known as thresh. So I will go ahead and run this, and now maybe you want to actually know or see how this binary thresholding actually looks like. So I told you in binary thresholding, like what will happen is that uh, I hope you do remember that everything above the threshold value will actually become max value, and below that will actually become zero. So what I will do is I will go ahead and show you the image over here. So it should be cv2.im show thresh. Okay, first I have to actually give the window and then thresh, and cv2 dot after I am sure there should be wait key of 0, and then cv2 dot destroy all windows, right? And before that, I will let you see the real image as well, like whatever real image actually was. So this was our real image. So I will run this piece of code first. So this is our grayscale real image, and now I have applied the binary thresholding technique over it. So applying the binary thresholding technique over it, what we get is the following result, right? So as you can see that we have applied binary thresholding, and therefore things got changed. Like above the cutoff value, everything actually got to like white, and below the cutoff value everything actually was made black. So this is how thresholding actually works, and it actually separates the, like, can be used for separating the foreground from the background as well. But yeah, this is one of the concepts of like thresholding. Now let's say I want to, instead of using binary thresholding, I now want to use binary inverse thresholding. So I will go back and run the code once again. However, the result you should expect is the complete opposite. That is, every black point now will be white point, and every white point will now be black point. Let's see if this gives us the expected output or not. So I will go ahead and read the image once again and convert the color. Instead of cv2.thresh binary, this should be cv2.binary inverse this time. And I will store this over here again, and this is my original image, and this is what my threshold image should look like. I will go ahead and run this piece of code now. So as you can see, it actually got like exact opposite. Like every black point has now become a white point, and every white wherever there was a hint of white has now actually become the black part. This is because the two techniques are actually dimensionally opposite to each other. So this is what thresholding actually is. We'll go and implement the rest 3 thresholding techniques in the next video lectures. So I hope you are now clear with the concepts of thresholding, and you have learned something interesting and important from it. See you in the next one. Thank you.